Good morning. Welcome back. This is Brighter Morning with Bo. And we have head of the Chamber of Commerce of Chaguanas, Mr. Richie Sookhai with us. Good morning, Richie.
Good morning, Mr. Tiwari. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, and you this early morning?
Let's get the volume up so we can hear what he's saying. You there?
I'm here. Are you hearing me clearly?
You are you are low. Let's take the volume up. Yeah, we're trying to get the volume up, Richie.
No problem. Any better?
Right. This is very good now. Okay. Excellent. Good morning again, and welcome to
Good
Brighter
morning, Mr.
Morning.
Tiwari. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning to the viewing public.
Yes. Now, you've had a chance, it's been a few days now since October 4th and the reading of the budget. Can I get your reflective reaction now that you've had a chance to see what is its likely impact? How do you feel about the budget as read?
Well, first of all, it is a copy and paste budget. We have seen most of these initiatives that have been offered in the past, and some that came to fruition, some that never came to fruition. A lot of them, especially, we're looking at. Let's take for instance Wi-Fi, making Trinidad and Tobago a Wi-Fi free country. And what we have is that this was promised in the first time in the manifesto for the 2015 election. And now we're in 2021 and we haven't seen anything as that in terms of Wi-Fi for the entire country. You have seen where certain spots in Trinidad and Tobago have become Wi-Fi free, but when you look at the country in its entirety, and even given the aftermath of COVID, or we're still within the pandemic, you see the importance of having free Wi-Fi and reliable Wi-Fi access throughout this country. How it can help both in education, how it can help both even the business community to, let's say, survive and strive during this time. So that's just one example. But in an essence, there's a lot of repetitive promises that were in the budget. We're hoping that this time around that they can actually bring some of these initiatives to fruition.
Yeah, do you think do you think that the minister might have singled out the private sector in some way in this budget, separate and distinct from what he had done before? Because when you think about the 6 budgets before, I mean, there was a lot of alienation in the business community. The business community felt marginalized. They did not feel that they were being listened to. But in this budget, he has packed a lot of incentives of various kinds for the business community. And we can talk about some of those things. Do you think maybe he's had a change of heart and disposition, and that he understands that without the private sector and confidence building in the private sector, this country really has no hope?
That's an excellent point that you're drawing here. That the SMEs at this time have been facing a lot of challenges due to COVID-19. And where we see in this budget that was presented, he did give a lot of initiatives forward and let's say goodies that could help the business community once the necessary mechanism and infrastructure is in place for it. Also, I could say that with the introduction of encouraging or enticing people to go into the field of ICT and other areas, so we can have new business models being developed here in Trinidad and Tobago, which gives the opportunity for, let's say, entrepreneurs to start looking at a different avenue instead of the general retail, instead of the general remanufacturing, like is exactly what we're doing here in Trinidad, or even the oil and gas sector. So it gives an opportunity for entrepreneurs to go into a different field. So I would say yes, definitely there is a lot of incentives for SMEs. One of the the incentives that we're hoping to see come to fruition is the ability for SMEs to be able to list on the stock exchange, given the amount of tax breaks that are afforded to them if they are allowed to go on. It creates that transparency that is needed in Trinidad and Tobago, and also allows SMEs to access fundings that are much needed so it can help their businesses grow. And they can, once they do that, they will be able to compete both regionally and internationally.
Yeah, I think that there are three things besides the money available in the banks for debt accumulation by business. That is to say, the loans with the moratoria, government backed, etc. Besides those, I think that there are certain things which take a very different approach to the private sector, and especially to SMEs. So the first is listing on the stock market, where you get a 50% reduction in tax if you do that. But I think the significance of that is that in order to be listed in the stock market, you have to be very organized, very well prepared. You have to be compliant. And these things ultimately will be good for the competitiveness of these businesses. The second thing is that by creating the conditions in which you have funds available to small and medium enterprises, about $50 million, for consulting and related matters, you have for research and innovation and so on. You now
Research and development.
That's right.
Yeah.
Correct. You now have the capacity for, what can I say, equity financing as opposed to debt financing. There's a possibility.
Correct.
There's a possibility there. And these things, I think, are positive developments. And of course, if you put things on the market, on the stock market, you affect the whole financial system. You bring life to the stock market, etc. You think small and medium enterprises in Trinidad and Tobago will take advantage of these things?
Well, I was speaking with an individual from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, and what they were saying is the first time around when it was promised, a lot of people were very keen about it and how they can get their companies listed. One of the issues that they had is it wasn't very clear as to how the tax break will be afforded to them, and also a lot of the infrastructure weren't there. So we're hoping that this time around that the government will have those measures in place so that it will allow these companies to start, showing the interest that they have will be to the forefront and allow them to start listing on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. So I believe the subscription or the willingness for the business community to be subscribed to this program is there. And one thing that you mentioned concerning the 50 million that is allocated for training purposes, it is something that is definitely needed. We're seeing so many companies that are not able to access some of the government funding that is needed at this time due to non-compliance. And it is for simple reasons. They just don't have maybe basic audited accounts. They don't have the necessary documents to go to the banks to show, where income expenditures, that sort of stuff. And maybe this is the drive that the government is putting forward. This is something that is needed in this country, especially by the SMEs who just don't know better, right? And it will definitely help them to access pools of funds that are available to them, and then just because of simple bureaucracy or simple mismanagement in their accounts, they will be able to put those things in place and allow them to become compliant, which is necessary. It'll create greater transparency and we'll have a more vibrant business economy.
What about the transformative requirements for the small and medium size sector? You mentioned the fact that a lot of businesses are involved in retail. There's nothing wrong with retail because that is how Bermudas move their biscuits through the country. And Bermudas is a big exporting company, indigenous. That is how associated brands move their products in the country. If you don't have retail outlets, you're not going to have a distribution system. All the groceries in the country are retail outlets for the imported food and for some local production and so on. So there has to be some compatibility between manufacturing and other forms of production and the retail sector. But there are two transformative requirements for small and medium enterprises that I think are urgent, and you can tell me if you agree with me. One is that they must be transformed and they must become more competitive. And that means the introduction of technology, the sophistication of ICT systems, the capacity for e-commerce in a way that is viable for them and can make them grow. But the second one is that I think we are at the point where, every business has to find a way of earning some foreign exchange. And therefore, it means that some of these businesses have to have small actions of diversification that will allow them to earn some foreign exchange. They may not be able to cover all their demand for goods in foreign exchange earnings. But, if you can do a 5% this year, a 10% 2 years from now, a 15%, if you can get yourself to 25%, that makes a big difference from zero. And it can make a big difference to the country. What do you think of the chances of transformative interventions, company by company in the SME sector in this way?
Okay, let's go back a bit and talk about like what you were talking in the retail sector, especially with the associated brands group. So Bermuda's, Sunshine Snacks, Charles Chocolate. That conglomerate has basically taken its level of manufacturing and able to retail its manufactured products from Trinidad and Tobago, and have that same brand replicated in Colombia, which they did recently, and even in other parts of the world. So they have become actually unique, and food supply, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, especially food production. Like for instance, recently with Olmark and your rice, in terms of helping importation of rice to help reduce our food importation bill, because rice is a staple. It's something, food on itself is totally different category when it comes to the retail sector. But what I was focusing on when I said retail would be more like the textiles, the normal things that we just import into Trinidad and Tobago, which consumes foreign exchange, and we sell basically to our local market. So I know the other point that you brought is how are our businesses going to pivot or tweak their business model to be able to earn foreign exchange. And one of it is the service sector. Service sector is where I see, and providing that service, because Trinidad and Tobago is unique in the sense that a lot of the services that are offered are not offered regionally, right, within the Caribbean islands, right? So if we can make it in such a way that the services that we're offered has less bureaucracy in terms of leaving the country or coming into the country, I'm talking through custom and excise and duties and taxes. Although through CARICOM, you have that one CARICOM initiative that allows for free flow of goods, but you still have bureaucracy within the system. And let's say, for instance, a service company, they are going to provide a service for someone in Barbados or someone in Dominica, Grenada. You still have the transportation fees, which are going up daily. You have the fees of the duties and taxes that you're going to pay sometimes on the items. Although they're coming in for repairs, sometimes customs need a lot of information before they clear the goods. All these hurdles being crossed are making, let's say, the ease of doing business not easy. So what tends to happen is that the people in the other islands will look at, let's say, the United States, because it's a lot easier to send the items to the United States, get it repaired, and then get it back. Where in Trinidad now, between its Caribbean to Caribbean, they find it a lot more difficult. Now, as I said, we are unique in this country because we do provide a lot more services than the other islands, right? And we are specialized in a lot more of these services. If you look at our repair section, our repairs and specialized industrial manufacturing, right, that we have in this country, you wouldn't find that anywhere else in the Caribbean. So, we do have these services here. Is how are we going to be able to export those services, and what government is putting in place to allow us to export those services so that we can actually become foreign exchange earners through these measures.
All right. Richie, that's good. We're going to come back to that. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we're going to pursue that, how the CARICOM can become a basis for services export, perhaps linked to the retail and other sectors in Trinidad and Tobago.
Correct.
And secondly, how we can achieve some of this transformation. All right, we take a break now, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Lifetime Solutions, where you can trust your roof to us. Our services include custom fabrication, steel framing, roofing installation, on-site roll forming, roofing maintenance and services. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today, or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionst.com. Lifetime Solutions. You can trust your roof to us. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today, or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com.
Your house is more than just a home. It's the new normal. It's your place of work, your kids' school, and even your gym. It's where you and your family spend most of your time. With over 43 years in the building service industry, let Magic Mist Services Limited take care of your home cleaning and maintenance needs. From ceiling to floor, interior and exterior, allowing you to focus on what matters most to you. Give us a call. Magic Mist Services Limited, your total facilities management solutions provider.
You did the right thing. So now we're giving you things. Republic Bank thanks you and wants to reward you for getting vaxxed. Win $5,000 in prizes every week, plus one of 2 cars in December. You took care of your health, and now we're taking care of you. $5,000 and a chance to win a car. See press and log on to republictt.com for details.
Mangalese Trading Company Limited, specialist in PVC ceiling, gypsum ceiling, suspended ceilings, medallions, lights, metal framings, and SPCS flooring, known as vinyl plank. Now introducing Mangalese Foods, wholesale and retail, distributor of the family brand food items. Our range of products include rice, sugar, chickpeas, split peas, and soybean oil. Mangalese Foods deliver exceptional products. We offer timely and efficient service. We are located at 9 Francis Lala Road, Charlieville, Chaguanas. Contact us at 672-9889, 740-5569 or 336-4373.
Mangalese Trading Company Limited.
Welcome back to Brighter Morning with Bo on MCTV, Multicultural TV, and our guest this morning is Mr. Richie Sookhai. Before we go on to the services thing that we were discussing prior to the break, I just wanted to ask Richie if, you lead a family business. Your family has built that business over a significant period. It has done well over the years, etc. Would you consider seriously putting your business, for instance, on the stock market, on the secondary exchange?
Yeah, it's working, right?
Hello? Hello? Are you hearing?
Something's wrong.
Are you hearing? What happened? Okay, I don't know what happened there, but I was asking him whether he, as a small business, a family business, would consider putting his business on the stock exchange. And we were talking about how you transform small businesses, including retail, to allow them, first of all, to be much more efficient, effective, technologically driven, and quite sophisticated in that respect, while catering to traditional customers. But at the same time, how do you create the conditions in which you can increase the amount of foreign exchange earnings? I think something happened there, Richie.
I'm not too sure. So, we're in the digital world.
All right. Okay. No, I was asking you. You've cultivated and built over generations a family business. Would you, for instance, consider putting your business, some part of it, maybe at 20% or something like that, on the stock exchange?
Oh, no, definitely. Because as we see, as we see demand grow, for goods and services, especially for in our industry, the demand is there exactly for repairs. And the same thing I was explaining to you, my company has basically built a niche market where we have specialized services that are unique not only to Trinidad and Tobago but for the entire Caribbean.
Yes.
That being said, instead of having to go and open branches all over the Caribbean to be able to provide these services, it is totally impossible. One, the infrastructure that is needed. Two, the capacity in terms of human capital, knowledge to be able to handle this item. It tends to be depleted when you extend yourself so much, seeing that it's such a specialized field. So, for instance, we have another outlet in Barbados. Barbados is handling that market. But if we are looking at all the other Caribbean islands that need our sort of services, right, it will be totally impossible to replicate that in Dominica, in Grenada, in Antigua. It is just not viable. So if, let's say, the ease was there to be able to transfer some of these items back and forth through the medium that allows ease of these services through the Caribbean islands, it would have been a lot easier for some of these customers in the islands to say, listen, I'm going to send it to Trinidad. It's not going to cost that much, maybe just a basic shipping cost, and I'll get my repairs done and send back immediately. Right, and that's what they're looking for. Unless and what they do, they tend, because of the bureaucracy within the system, right? We lose that market sometimes, and they send it to the United States, right? When it goes there, it's a lot easier to take it out from the U.S. Customs. It's a lot easier to access their market, and the job is done and sent back. And it's almost the same quality they are getting, but obviously the price is a lot different, and
Yes.
and they pay in US dollars. So at the end of
Yes.
the day, is foreign exchange.
Earning.
Yeah,
No, no.
exactly, foreign exchange.
What you are saying there is very, very important. And I think, I mean, and the whole world is going that way. I mean, you can get anything in the system by mail. I mean,
Correct.
so you go on you go on the internet, you make an order, or you decide to make a connection. You send your stuff, they send it back to you, and there's no interaction at all, except on the internet and by mail. And I think that that is part of our problem here. You think digitalization and the thrust in digitalization will help in that regard?
Yeah,
I mean, you started off
definitely.
initially being skeptical because they had cut and paste so many things and repeated it over and over and nothing got done. And one of the issues here is whether all of these things with the private sector is going to get done, because the bureaucracy can get in the way. You can have political interference. You could have what I would call not just politicization, but I would say
General bureaucracy within the system itself, because
yeah,
you have where the services, okay, government may want one thing, but customer access may not agree, and you have that itself is becoming bureaucratic, right? Also where the various ministries, right, may want certain initiatives to come forward, but the entity that is doing the support and services are just not in the handshake is not there. So the collaboration, the whole transformation that is needed, except especially at a time like this, is not afforded to the business owners, and who suffers at the end of the day is the taxpayers. So we're hoping that this is not something that is just, we can say, point to the government and say this is the minister's fault, this is the ministry's fault. It's not that. It's more than that. When you look at the amount of bureaucracy that we have within the system, the red tape that they have to cross, it sometimes it stymies the growth of business in Trinidad and Tobago. When you really think about it, sometimes it's amazing that we have such large companies in this country that deal with this sort of bureaucracy on a daily basis.
yeah, because they have to dedicate a lot of resources just to get things done in the bureaucracy,
And
and that is
and
the,
and
no, and I was
sorry.
going to say, for a small company, that becomes very hard. Go ahead.
Exactly. We don't have they don't have the capacity, and
The
the other
resources.
thing is all about, yeah, the resources, capacity, and the other thing is all about who you know. So ultimately, it boils down to that when it shouldn't be.
Yeah. Now, all these incentives could go to hell, so to speak, if the government bureaucracy and the governmental system and the agencies of government do not support it. In fact, they could sabotage the entire thing and make it not happen. All they have to say is to say no when they should be saying yes. All they have to do is not respond when they should respond. All they have to do is to tell you, come back, or we can't do that now. And the whole thing could go to hell. And this is where policy could be totally undermined by the structured imperfections and the inefficiencies and the incompetences of the system, so that the system remains in control, and we cannot ignore that in trying to make a transformation in the country, don't you think?
Yes, I agree, and this is one of the biggest deterrent of FDIs in our country, right? When a multinational is looking at Trinidad and Tobago, thinking that, okay, fine, I'm going to this Caribbean island that is going to afford us. They have the intellectual capacity in this country. We have the ability to be able to provide good service. We have an educated population, And when you think that multinationals will look at us as, okay, a viable economy to enter, where maybe, and I don't want to use the phrase ease of doing business. They have scrapped, the World Bank has scrapped that whole index.
Yeah, but
But it
that's
is
what they measure was important. I mean, they corrupted it, but what they
correct.
measure is important. It doesn't take away from the
Correct.
fact that those things are important.
Exactly. So the measures that they had and the ease of doing business basically in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to still look, although the index may not be there anymore, we as a country,
We
right,
have to
should
do the
still look
things.
at improving, correct, improving these things. And this is the only way we can look at attracting FDI in our country through multinationals. And once we can do that and make it easier and accessible, then you will have where multinationals are coming and institutional voids that we have in this country will soon be filled.
All right, Richie, we've got to close now because we have to go to the news with Andrew Chan. And I want to thank you very much for coming. We'll talk another time, maybe later in the year. But
Doc,
it's
thank
good.
you for the opportunity.
No, it's good to have you, and it's good to have a serious conversation about small and medium enterprises in the country. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Doc, and thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And also, before we go, the Chaguanas Chamber is having a vaccine drive on Friday and Saturday in the heart of Chaguanas Center City Mall, right, where anyone could come off the road and have the one shot of Johnson & Johnson. It's starting from Friday and Saturday.
Okay, Friday into Saturday at Center Point?
Center City Mall.
Center
That's the
City.
one where Republic.
Right. Friday, Saturday, Center City Mall in Chaguanas. Go and get vaccinated. And this is Johnson &
Yes.
Johnson, one shot and done.
One shot.
Thank you very much, Andrew Chan and the news.